The keys are heavier than I expected. Cold metal against my palm, still warm from the real estate agent's hand. She's smiling like she just helped me make a smart investment, like I'm here for the exposed brick and the river views and the potential ROI. She has no idea. I'm not buying Riverside Manor because it's a good property. I'm buying it because in 6 weeks, my sister Vanessa is getting married here. Same ballroom where she stood 3 years ago and told a room full of strangers that I was just plain chef. Same garden where she'll walk down the aisle in a dress that cost more than I used to make in 3 months. She doesn't know I own this place now. Doesn't know I've been planning this for weeks, moving pieces around like chess, quiet and careful. She thinks I'm still the struggling little sister, the one who needed her help, the one she tried to force into selling my business so she could swoop in and take credit for everything I built. My name is Morgan Foster. I'm 29 and I run Everything Elegant Catering, the company Vanessa said would be dead within a year. She was wrong about that. She's about to find out exactly how wrong. Because tomorrow, she's coming here for her final venue walkthrough, and I'm going to be the one waiting in that ballroom to introduce myself as her new landlord. 6 weeks until her wedding, 6 weeks to watch her realize she can't control this anymore. Growing up, I learned to make myself smaller. Not physically, though Vanessa always stood taller in heels she didn't need, but smaller in the ways that mattered. Quieter at dinner tables, less excited about my wins, quicker to celebrate hers. We grew up in Portland's West Hills, the kind of neighborhood where your house said everything about you before you opened your mouth. Vanessa understood that language. Got her MBA from Northwestern, married Drew Whitman, whose family name opened doors I didn't even know existed. Spoke fluently about quarterly projections and market positioning. I went to culinary school at the community college. My parents didn't come to my graduation. They had tickets, bought them months in advance. But Vanessa called that morning, some work emergency, some happy hour with her boss that she absolutely couldn't miss. And Mom and Dad left halfway through the ceremony to go support her. I remember standing there in my chef's whites, watching their empty seats, telling myself it didn't matter. It mattered. The thing about culinary school is they don't tell you the real cost. Tuition, sure, I used my entire college fund, $12,000 meant for State University, but the hidden costs were what nearly broke me. Knives that cost $300 each, textbooks I had to buy new because the editions changed every year, unpaid externships where you worked 60 hours a week for experience. I worked 3 jobs that first year. Prep cook at a restaurant downtown, wedding server on weekends, farmer's market vendor on Sunday mornings. I'd finish a Saturday night wedding service at midnight, sleep 4 hours, then drive to the market to sell preserves I'd made in whatever kitchen I could borrow. Vanessa was between jobs that same year. Marketing positions are competitive, she said. She needed time to find the right fit. She borrowed $5,000 from me, paid her rent for 3 months while she figured things out. I was living in the storage room of a commercial kitchen I rented on weekends, sleeping on an air mattress between stacks of catering supplies. Rice and beans for dinner most nights, sometimes just rice. She never paid me back. When I finally scraped together enough to rent a proper commercial kitchen and start Everything Elegant Catering, Vanessa told everyone it was cute. My little cooking project, something to keep me busy until I got serious about a real career. For 4 years, I catered every family event for free. Mom's birthday dinners, Dad's retirement party, cousin Jennifer's baby shower, Vanessa's engagement party, 75 guests, past hors d'oeuvres, a dessert bar that took me 2 days to prepare. Vanessa posted pictures on Instagram, crapped me out of every single one. The captions talked about amazing food and perfect party, but never mentioned who made it. The family group chat was a study in silence and noise. When I posted about landing my first corporate catering contract, nothing. When Vanessa posted a photo of her office view, 43 messages of congratulations under an hour. I told myself I didn't need their validation, but I wanted it anyway. 3 years ago, everything changed. A bride named Jennifer Caldwell hired me for her wedding at Riverside Manor. 200 guests, $15,000, the biggest contract I'd ever landed. It was going to pay for new equipment, a second fridge, maybe even hire my first employee. I worked 72 hours straight before that wedding, tested every dish 3 times, drove to 4 different suppliers to find the exact heritage tomatoes the bride wanted, prepped in my kitchen until my hands cramped and my feet went numb. Vanessa came as a guest, showed up in a dress that probably cost what I'd make in a month, stood in the cocktail hour with a glass of champagne, held court with a group of people I didn't know. I was 10 feet away, coordinating service, checking temperatures, making sure every plate went out perfect. I heard her laugh first, that particular laugh she used when she was performing for an audience. "Oh, that's my little sister," she said, loud enough. "She's playing chef for now. It's sweet, really, but she'll grow out of it once reality hits. Some people just aren't cut out for real careers." The woman she was talking to glanced at me. I was standing there in my chef's whites, expediting plates, running the most important service of my professional life. Vanessa saw me looking, made direct eye contact, smiled, turned back to her conversation like I wasn't there. I finished that wedding, got raving reviews, got referrals that tripled my business over the next year, built everything elegant into something real. Consistent bookings, reliable income, a reputation people trusted. I thought if I just kept working, kept succeeding quietly, she'd eventually see me as more than a punchline. I was wrong. To Vanessa, my success was never about me. It was just another prop in her story, another way to position herself as the sister who'd figured life out while I was still stumbling around in the kitchen. What I didn't understand then was that she wasn't dismissing me because I was failing. She was dismissing me because she had already decided I didn't deserve to succeed, and she was going to make sure I never forgot it. 6 months ago, Vanessa texted me out of nowhere. "Lunch this week? Just us. I miss my sister." I stared at that message for a full minute. We hadn't done just sisters' lunch in 3 years, not since before the Riverside Manor wedding, before she'd made it clear what she thought of my career. But I wanted to believe her, wanted to think maybe something had shifted, maybe she'd finally seen what I was building. I texted back, yes. She picked the restaurant, one of those places downtown with exposed brick and small plates that cost $18. The kind of place where you leave hungry but feel sophisticated about it. I got there first, ordered water, checked my phone, 3 client emails, 1 vendor invoice, a reminder about it tasting scheduled for tomorrow. Normal Tuesday afternoon business stuff. Vanessa arrived 15 minutes late, breezing in with oversized sunglasses and a leather bag that probably cost more than my monthly kitchen rent. She kissed my cheek, sat down, ordered a glass of wine without looking at the menu. "You look tired," she said. Not hello, not how are you, just you look tired. "Busy season." "Right, the catering thing." She sipped her wine. "Actually, that's what I wanted to talk about." Something cold settled in my stomach. She reached into her bag and pulled out a leather portfolio, the expensive kind, with her initials embossed on the corner, slid it across the table between our water glasses. "I have a proposal for you." I didn't open it. "I've been watching Everything Elegant. You've done well, better than I expected, honestly, but you're at a ceiling now. Local events, small weddings, the occasional corporate lunch. You're good at the cooking part, no one's disputing that, but you're drowning in the business side." "I'm not drowning." "Morgan," she leaned forward, "I have an MBA, 10 years of marketing experience, connections throughout Portland's corporate scene. I can take Everything Elegant from a small operation to something actually scalable. Real contracts, real growth, real legitimacy."
I opened the portfolio. Partnership agreement, legal terms in small print, profit-sharing structure, Vanessa Foster, managing partner, 25% equity. My name on the signature line at the bottom. You already had this drawn up. I wanted to be prepared. Her nails, perfectly manicured, pale pink, tapped against the table. This is what separates professional operations from amateur ones. Strategy, vision, the right positioning. I flipped through the pages. She'd outlined everything. Her role, her compensation, her decision-making authority. She'd even included a timeline for rebranding initiatives and market repositioning. You want a quarter of my business? I want to help you build something that matters. She smiled. That smile she used in family photos, the one that never reached her eyes. Think about it. Everything elegant with real marketing behind it. Access to clients you'd never reach on your own. This is what you need, Morgan. You just haven't realized it yet. I closed the portfolio. I need to think about it. Of course, she finished her wine. Take your time, but don't wait too long. Opportunities like this don't stay open forever. She paid for lunch, left the portfolio on the table. I carried it home like it might explode. The next week, my phone rang. Commercial kitchen landlord. Hey, Morgan, quick question. Is your business changing ownership structure? Someone called claiming to be part of management, wanted details about your lease terms. My hands went cold. Who called? Didn't leave a name, said she was handling business development, needed to review all existing contracts. I told her I only discuss lease details with you, but thought you should know. I knew exactly who'd called. 2 days later, one of my biggest clients, a tech company I'd been catering monthly lunches for, sent a careful email. We received a call from someone claiming to be associated with Everything Elegant. She mentioned you might be overwhelmed with current contracts and suggested we should consider backup catering options. Just wanted to check in. Is everything okay with your capacity? I had to call 3 clients that week. Had to explain that no, I wasn't struggling, no, I wasn't overwhelmed, no, I didn't need backup. Yes, that person was my sister. No, she doesn't work for my company. The last part was hardest to say. She showed up at my farmer's market booth on Sunday morning. I was selling preserves, something I did once a month, more for visibility than profit. Small batch jams, pickled vegetables, the kind of thing that reminded people Everything Elegant existed. Vanessa arrived around 10 when the market was busy. Walked right up to my booth in workout clothes and athleisure that cost more than my weekly grocery budget. "This is so cute," she announced, loud enough for the customers browsing my jars to hear. "Look at you, still doing the farmer's market thing. I keep telling her she should focus on the business side, but she loves this hands-on stuff." A woman holding my strawberry jam looked between us confused. "I'm her sister," she explained, like that clarified everything. "I'm helping her get organized. Small businesses are so hard to scale without proper systems." "I'm not..." But she was already talking to another customer, explaining my growth challenges and my passion for craft over profit and how she's mentoring her through the business development process. I stood there behind my table watching her perform concern for an audience that didn't know we actually weren't working together. When the crowd thinned, I grabbed her arm. "What are you doing?" "Helping." She pulled away, adjusted her sunglasses. "Someone needs to manage your image, Morgan. You can't just sell jam at farmers markets forever and call it a business strategy." "You called my landlord. You contacted my clients." "I was doing research, due diligence. If I'm going to invest my time in this partnership..." "We're not partners." She went very still. "You're saying no?" "I'm saying this is my business. I built it. It's not failing, it's not struggling, and I don't need you to save it. Something shifted in her face. The concern evaporated. What replaced it was colder. You're making a mistake. Maybe, but it's my mistake to make. She left without buying anything. That night, she posted on Instagram a photo of my farmer's market booth, caption about supporting family members through their small business challenges and the importance of mentorship. 43 comments, all of them praising her for being such a supportive sister, none of them knowing she was drowning me. I thought that was the worst of it. The calls to my landlord, the warnings to my clients, the public performance of helping me. I thought if I just held firm, said no clearly enough, she'd back off. I had no idea what she'd already set in motion. 2 weeks after the farmer's market incident, I sent her an email. Formal, professional, the kind of thing you send when you want documentation. Vanessa, I've thought carefully about your partnership proposal. I'm declining. Everything Elegant will remain solely owned and operated by me. I appreciate your interest, but this isn't the right fit. Morgan. I copied my business attorney. Wanted it on record that I'd said no, clearly, officially, permanently. She didn't respond. 3 days of silence. No texts, no calls, no social media posts about mentoring struggling sisters. I should have known silence meant she was planning something worse. On day 4, she showed up at my commercial kitchen. I was prepping for a wedding that weekend, chopping vegetables, pre-cooking proteins, organizing equipment. My assistant had the day off. I was alone. The knock on the loading dock door startled me. I wasn't expecting deliveries. Vanessa stood there in jeans and an oversized sweater. No makeup, mascara streaked down her face like she'd been crying for hours. "Can I come in?" Every instinct screamed no. I let her in anyway. She sat on one of my prep tables, pulled her knees to her chest like she used to when we were kids and she was upset. Her voice came out small, broken. "I'm so sorry." I didn't say anything.
"I've been awful to you, dismissive and controlling, and," her breath hitched, "I think I've been jealous of your passion, your courage, the way you just did this thing you loved without caring what anyone thought." She looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. "My job is killing me, Morgan. I spend 60 hours a week in meetings that don't matter, creating marketing campaigns for products I don't care about. I come home and Drew asks how my day was, and I can't even remember what I did. It's just empty." Something in my chest cracked. And then I see you, actually loving what you do, building something real. And instead of being happy for you, I tried to tear it down because I couldn't stand watching you have what I don't. She started crying harder. "I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to be a better sister. But I'm trying. I swear I'm trying." I sat down next to her on the prep table. We talked for 2 hours. About her marriage that looked perfect but felt hollow. About the pressure to maintain an image she didn't even want anymore. About how scared she was that she'd wasted her 30s chasing things that didn't make her happy. She apologized. Really apologized for the partnership ambush, for calling my clients, for every small cruelty she'd inflicted over the years. "I'll support you," she promised, "however you want to build your business. No more interference, no more trying to control things. Just let me be your sister again." We hugged. I cried. For the first time in years, I felt like maybe we could fix this. 3 days later, I got an email. From j.morrison@cascadecatering.com. Subject, acquisition opportunity, everything elegant. Morgan, Cascade Corporate Catering is interested in acquiring Everything Elegant. We've been tracking your growth and believe your operation would be a strong fit for our portfolio. We're prepared to offer $75,000 for full business acquisition, including brand, client list, and equipment.
We understand from a family member that you may be experiencing capacity challenges and considering exit options. We'd like to discuss how this acquisition could provide you with financial security while preventing potential business failure. Please let us know your interest in exploring this opportunity. My hands shook so hard I almost dropped my phone. Family member, capacity challenges, potential business failure. I called the number in the email signature, got Jim Morrison on the phone within 2 minutes. Who contacted you about my business? A pause. I'm not sure I should. Who? Another pause, longer this time. Your sister, Vanessa Foster? She reached out about a month ago, said you were struggling, overwhelmed, heading toward collapse. She offered to facilitate an acquisition, said she wanted to help you exit gracefully before things fell apart. A month ago. 3 weeks before her tearful breakdown in my kitchen. 2 weeks before she apologized and promised to support me. She painted a pretty concerning picture, Jim continued. But after we sent that email, the owner of Riverside Manor called me, Eleanor Hartwell, said I should talk to you directly before believing family gossip. She seemed to think your sister might not be representing your situation accurately. The line went quiet except for my breathing. Mr. Morrison, everything elegant is not struggling. We're profitable, growing, and completely stable. My sister does not represent me or my business, and if she contacts you again, please disregard anything she says. I hung up. Sat in my kitchen for 20 minutes, staring at nothing. The tears, the vulnerability, the confession about being jealous, the promise to support me. All of it had been theater. She'd already set the acquisition in motion before she showed up crying. The apology was just cover, a way to lower my guard while she finalized her plan to have my business absorbed by my biggest competitor. She hadn't been trying to fix things. She was making sure I wouldn't see the knife coming.
Mom called 3 weeks after I found out about the Cascade acquisition attempt. Family dinner Sunday. Her voice had that bright, performative quality she used when something important was happening. Vanessa has big news to share. Don't be late. I almost said no, but something in me needed to see it. Whatever achievement she was celebrating now, whatever new milestone she'd reached while I was still scraping her knife out of my back. I showed up at 6. The house smelled like Mom's pot roast, the one she only made for special occasions. The dining room table was set with the good china, the stuff that only came out for holidays and announcements. Champagne chilled in a silver ice bucket on the sideboard. Dad was already pouring glasses when I walked in. Morgan. Mom kissed my cheek. You look thin. Are you eating enough? I'm fine. Vanessa swept in from the living room, Drew trailing behind her. She was wearing white. Not a wedding dress, just white. Jeans, white blouse, like she was already practicing. She hugged me like nothing had happened, like she hadn't spent the last month trying to destroy my business. So glad you could make it, she said into my ear. Sweet, warm, sisterly. I felt sick. We sat down for dinner. Dad carved the roast, Mom passed vegetables. Everyone made small talk about work and weather and the neighbor's new landscaping. Vanessa waited until dessert. She stood up, champagne glass in hand, practically vibrating with excitement. Drew and I have an announcement. She reached for his hand. We set a date, June 15th, 6 weeks from now. Mom's hands flew to her mouth. And we're getting married at Riverside Manor, she continued, glowing. Everything's booked. Venue, photographer, band, flowers. It's all coming together so fast, but it's perfect. Everything I've dreamed of. The table erupted. Congratulations. Happy tears. Dad already talking about finally seeing his oldest daughter properly settled. Drew smiled his quiet smile, the one that never quite reached his eyes but looked good in photos. I sat very still. Riverside Manor, the place where my career had turned around, where I'd worked 72 hours straight to prove I could handle major events.
where Vanessa had stood in cocktail hour and called my work a phase I'd grow out of. She was getting married there. Then her eyes found mine across the table. And Morgan, she tilted her head, smile widening. I was really hoping you might cater. As a gift, it would mean so much to have family involved. Plus, it would be great exposure for everything elegant. The table quieted. Everyone looked at me, expectant, supportive, like she'd just asked me for something small and reasonable. My throat felt tight. Exposure? I repeated. Well, yes, it's a big wedding. Lots of influential guests. Drew's family knows everyone. It could really help your business. A wedding for 150 guests at Riverside Manor. I knew the numbers without thinking. Minimum $25,000. 3 days of prep work, renting additional equipment, hiring extra staff, food costs, labor costs, liability insurance. She wanted me to work her wedding for free. You want me to cater 150 people for nothing? It's not nothing, it's family. Vanessa's voice got a little harder. Besides, after all the help I've tried to give your business over the past months, I thought you might want to reciprocate, support your sister on the biggest day of her life. Mom reached over, touched my hand. It would be such a lovely contribution, sweetheart. Dad nodded. Family helps family. I looked around the table, at their faces, expectant and certain, at Vanessa, standing there in white, already the bride, already the center of everything, at Drew, who wouldn't meet my eyes. I heard myself say, I need to think about it. Vanessa's smile tightened. Well, don't think too long. I need to finalize vendors. I left right after dessert, made some excuse about an early morning prep, drove home with my hands shaking on the steering wheel. I sat in my commercial kitchen at 2 a.m. The ovens I saved 2 years to buy, the custom stainless steel prep cables I'd had built to my exact specifications, the industrial mixer that had taken 6 months of extra catering gigs to afford, everything I'd built while Vanessa told people I was playing chef, everything I'd built while she called my landlord and my clients and tried to convince a competitor to absorb my business before it inevitably failed. Everything I'd built despite her. And now she wanted me to serve her for free at Riverside Manor? At the venue where she dismissed my career while I ran the most important service of my life. She wanted to turn my breakthrough moment into another monument to her superiority. Wanted me in a server's uniform at her wedding. Proof that she'd been right all along. I was just the help. Just the little sister who'd never amount to anything without her guidance. I pulled up Riverside Manor's website. I knew they'd been struggling. Heard it through the industry grapevine, the kind of gossip caterers share at supplier warehouses and equipment rental shops. Eleanor and Thomas Hartwell, the owners, were in their 70s, tired, ready to retire, but particular about who'd take over their legacy. They'd turned down 3 acquisition offers from corporate event companies. Big money, but wrong fit. They wanted someone who understood that Riverside Manor wasn't just a revenue stream. It was history, family memories, 40 years of weddings and celebrations and moments that mattered. An idea formed, sharp and clear as cut glass. I opened my business banking app. Everything Elegant's account balance, $340,000. 3 years of smart growth, lean operation, every dollar reinvested into quality equipment and skilled staff instead of flashy marketing or expensive office space. My personal savings, $85,000. Money I'd been planning to use for a second commercial kitchen location. Expansion capital. Total, $425,000. I pulled up property records. Riverside Manor's asking price, $1.2 million. Not enough to buy it outright, but enough for a serious down payment, enough to start a conversation. Vanessa thought she'd won, thought she'd reduced me to family help, to someone who'd provide free labor for exposure. She hadn't been paying attention to Everything Elegant's growth. Hadn't noticed the corporate contracts that came in monthly now. Hadn't seen the profit margins that would make her marketing salary look modest. She'd been so busy trying to tear me down that she'd missed me building something real. I thought about Eleanor Hartwell, the venue owner who'd pulled me aside 3 years ago after that career-defining wedding. "Don't let jealous people dim your light," she said, her hand on my arm, warm and firm. "I've seen hundreds of caterers come through here. You're special. You have something real. If you ever need anything at all, you call me." At the time, I thought it was just kindness, just a nice older woman being supportive to a young caterer who'd worked her heart out. I was about to find out if it was something more. I picked up my phone, found Eleanor's number in my contacts, saved from 3 years ago, never deleted. My finger hovered over the call button. It was 2:30 in the morning. Too late to call. Too impulsive. Too crazy. But if I waited until morning, I'd talk myself out of it. I'd find reasons to be reasonable. Reasons to let Vanessa win again. I pressed the call button. The phone rang 4 times. Then a voice, thick with sleep, but alert. "Hello? Eleanor. This is Morgan Foster. I catered a wedding at Riverside Manor 3 years ago. I'm sorry for calling so late, but I know who you are." Her voice sharpened, sleep falling away. "And I've been wondering when you'd call." My breath caught. "You've been wondering? Your sister came for a venue tour 6 months ago. Did you know that?" I didn't say anything. "She talked about you," Eleanor continued, "about her struggling little sister who plays at catering, about how hard it must be to watch her succeed while you're still figuring things out. She said it with such concern, such sisterly worry." Ice spread through my chest. "You recognized my name immediately. I've been following everything elegant since that wedding. You're brilliant at what you do, Morgan. So when your sister started painting you as some kind of charity case, I knew exactly what she was. Why didn't you tell me? Because some things you need to figure out yourself." A pause. "But I'm guessing you figured it out now. Otherwise, you wouldn't be calling me at 2:30 in the morning." I took a breath. "I want to buy Riverside Manor." Silence on the line. Then Eleanor's laugh, surprised and delighted. "Thomas!" She called away from the phone. "I told you she'd call."
Eleanor and Thomas met me for coffee 3 days after that late-night phone call. Not at their house, not at the venue. A quiet cafe in Southeast Portland where nobody knew us, where we could spread paperwork across a corner table without drawing attention. Eleanor slid a folder across to me before I'd even ordered. Property financials for the last 5 years. Tax records, maintenance logs, everything you'll need to know what you're actually buying. I opened it. Pages of numbers, repair schedules, booking calendars marked in Eleanor's neat handwriting. "We're not trying to hide anything," Thomas said. His voice was rough, like he didn't use it much. "The roof needs work in the next 2 years, HVAC system is original, probably got 5 years left if we're lucky, but the bones are solid, foundation's perfect, electrical was updated in 2015. I ran my finger down the expense columns. Realistic numbers. Nothing inflated, nothing concealed. "Why are you doing this? Selling below asking? Holding a second mortgage? Giving me information that could let me negotiate you down even further?" Eleanor and Thomas looked at each other. Some silent conversation that only couples married 50 years can have. 40 years ago, Eleanor said slowly, Thomas and I bought this property with money we didn't have. Borrowed from family, maxed out credit cards, nearly lost everything in the first 2 years. We kept it running because people believed in us when they shouldn't have, when it made no financial sense. She tapped the folder. You remind me of us, not the part where we almost failed. The part where we understood what we were building mattered more than the spreadsheets said it should. Thomas nodded.
And your sister reminds us of the people who told us to sell, the ones who said we'd never make it, that we should cut our losses and work for someone else. The ones who couldn't see past quarterly returns to what it meant to build something that lasts. We don't have kids, no one to pass this to. We've watched corporate event companies come through here with their acquisition offers, their plans to modernize and rebrand, and squeeze every dollar out until the soul's gone. We kept saying no because we were waiting for the right person. She looked at me directly. You're the right person. I spent the next week living in spreadsheets. My commercial kitchen at 3 a.m., laptop glowing in the dark, coffee going cold in my mug while I ran numbers over and over. Bank loan at 6.2% interest, $600,000. Monthly payment roughly $4,100. Hartwell second mortgage at 4% interest, $150,000. Monthly payment around $750. My down payment, $200,000. Nearly half my business capital and all my personal savings. Total purchase price, $950,000. Monthly expenses, mortgage payments, property insurance, utilities, payroll for existing staff, maintenance reserve, approximately $18,000 total. Monthly revenue from existing bookings, $25,000 average, higher in summer months, lower in winter. Profit margin? Tight. Very tight, especially the first year. Add in everything elegant's ongoing revenue, average $30,000 monthly after expenses, and the numbers worked. Barely. If nothing went wrong, if I didn't lose major clients, if the venue didn't need emergency repairs. One disaster and I'd lose everything. I called my business attorney at 7 a.m. Margaret, I need you to review a property acquisition. She met me that afternoon, read through Eleanor's folder, my financial projections, the proposed loan structures. It's aggressive. You're leveraging your entire business to acquire a property that needs significant capital investment over the next 5 years. But is it viable? Viable and wise are different questions. She looked over her reading glasses. Viable? Yes, if your revenue projections hold and you manage both operations well. Wise? That depends on why you're doing this. I didn't answer. When do you want to inform your sister about the ownership change? Vanessa's wedding was 6 weeks out. Most vendors paid in full by now. Dress alterations finished, save the dates sent months ago, guest travel booked. The contract Eleanor had shown me included a clause. Deposits fully refundable until 30 days before the event. After that, the venue kept the deposit, but the client could still cancel. 28 days from now, Vanessa would be locked in. After the 30-day deadline, I said, I want her committed before she knows I own the venue. Margaret made a note. Legally sound, ethically questionable, but legally sound. She tried to destroy my business. She earned questionable ethics. Just make sure you can live with whatever you're planning. Margaret closed her laptop. Revenge has a way of costing more than you expect. I reached out to people I trusted in the wedding industry. Quiet conversations over equipment deliveries and vendor meetups. A florist named Rachel who'd worked dozens of events at Riverside Manor. The Hartwells are selling? Finally, they've been burnt out for years. She leaned against her van. You thinking about buying it? Maybe. What should I know? The venue is solid. Books out a year in advance, mostly. Brides love the garden and the old ballroom. Staff is good. Patricia runs coordination, been there forever. If you keep her, you'll be fine. What about problems? Rachel considered. Kitchen equipment is outdated. Couples always want to bring in their own caterers, and the kitchen can't handle some of the bigger menus. Also, the bridal suite needs work. Plumbing's been weird for years. I made notes. Asked about costs, timelines, vendors who could help with renovations. Then I called a DJ I'd worked with, a photographer who shot there regularly, and event planner who coordinated at least 6 Riverside weddings last year. Same questions, same careful fact-gathering. The picture that emerged was clear. Riverside Manor was well-loved, but tired. The Hartwells had maintained it but not updated it. The right owner could take it from good to exceptional with smart investment. And none of the corporate offers would have done that. They'd have stripped the character, maximized capacity, raised prices, and destroyed what made it special. I could do it right. If I survived the financial risk. The closing was scheduled for a Wednesday, 2 weeks before Vanessa's 30-day cancellation deadline. Everything was moving forward. Loan approved, down payment ready, Eleanor and Thomas already packing their house in preparation for their move to Arizona. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Morgan Foster? This is Patricia Chen from Riverside Manor, the venue coordinator. I'd met her briefly 3 years ago during that career-defining wedding. Hi, Patricia. What can I do for you? You heard you're buying the venue. Eleanor told me. I'm glad, I really am. But there's something you need to know before the closing.
My stomach dropped. Your sister called me yesterday, said she heard the venue was under new ownership, and wanted to make sure the new owner understood she's an important client. Asked me to pass along her contact information, said she'd like to speak directly about her wedding requirements. She knows someone bought it? She knows. I don't think she knows it's you yet. She would have said something, but she's fishing, and she's already being difficult. I sat down. Difficult how? She's called 3 times this week, changed the floor plan twice, requested we fire a staff member because he didn't address her as Miss Foster, sent 17 emails about napkin folding, and yesterday she asked me to sign a document guaranteeing continuity of service standards regardless of ownership changes. Did you sign it? God, no. But Morgan, she's going to make this hard. She's the kind of client who sees any change as a personal threat. And once she finds out you own the place, Patricia's voice dropped. It's going to be a nightmare. I thought about Vanessa finding out before the 30-day deadline, thought about her canceling, getting her deposit back, taking her wedding somewhere else, taking away my chance to show her exactly what I'd built while she was busy trying to tear me down. When's her next appointment? I asked. Final walkthrough tomorrow at 2. She's bringing your mother and her maid of honor. Tomorrow, 1 day before the closing. If Vanessa found out about the ownership change before the closing completed, she could throw up roadblocks, could contact Eleanor directly, could pressure our parents to pressure me, could find a way to delay or sabotage the sale. Patricia, can you do me a favor? Depends on the favor. Don't tell her about the ownership change tomorrow. Let the closing happen first. Once it's final, once I own the property legally, then she can find out. Silence on the line. You want to ambush your own sister. I want to make sure the sale completes before she has a chance to interfere. There's a difference. Is there? But Patricia's voice had a hint of approval in it. Fine, I won't volunteer the information, but if she asks directly, I'm not lying for you. Fair enough. I hung up, sat in my kitchen, heart pounding. Everything was moving forward perfectly, and Vanessa had no idea what was coming. The closing was scheduled for Wednesday, 2 days away. Tuesday night, my phone rang at 11 p.m. Margaret, my attorney. We have a problem. My stomach dropped. The bank is getting cold feet. Your loan officer got promoted, and the new guy is reviewing all pending commercial loans. He's questioning the risk profile, says you're over-leveraged between the catering business and the venue acquisition. What does that mean? It means he wants additional collateral. Either you increase your down payment by another $50,000, or you find a co-signer with substantial assets. $50,000 I didn't have.
a co-signer I couldn't ask for without explaining why I was buying my sister's wedding venue. How long do I have? He wants an answer by 9 a.m. tomorrow. If you can't meet the terms, the loan gets denied and the closing doesn't happen. I sat in my kitchen after Margaret hung up, calculator open on my laptop, bank accounts displayed, running the numbers over and over, looking for money that didn't exist. I could liquidate my catering equipment, maybe get $30,000 if I sold fast, but then I'd have no way to fulfill existing contracts, which would destroy everything elegant. I could ask my parents for money, watch them ask questions I couldn't answer honestly, watch them probably say no anyway, or worse, tell Vanessa. Or I could walk away, let the deal die, let Vanessa get married at Riverside Manor without ever knowing how close I'd come to owning it. At midnight, I called Eleanor. "I'm sorry to bother you this late. What's wrong?" No preamble. She knew. I explained about the bank, the new loan officer, the additional collateral requirement. "How much do you need?" $50,000, but I can't ask you to. We talked about this possibility when we agreed to hold the second mortgage. We knew the bank might get nervous. A pause. We can increase our second mortgage from $150,000 to $200,000. That reduces the bank loan amount, which should satisfy their risk concerns. "Eleanor, that's too much. It's our choice, and frankly, we'd rather take the risk on you than watch some corporate entity buy this place for cash and gut what we built." Her voice got firmer. "Do you want this venue or not?" "Yes." "Then call your attorney. We'll have amended paperwork ready by 8 a.m. Margaret called at 7:30 Wednesday morning. The bank accepted the revised terms. Closing is still on for 10 a.m. I sat in my car in the title company parking lot at 9:45, hands shaking so hard I couldn't get the key out of the ignition. This was happening. Really happening. If I failed, if the venue couldn't generate enough revenue, if something catastrophically went wrong, I wouldn't just lose Riverside Manor. I'd lose everything elegant. I'd lose Eleanor and Thomas's trust and investment. I'd prove Vanessa right about everything. But if I didn't do this, I'd spend the rest of my life wondering what could have been. I got out of the car and walked inside. The closing happened. I signed for 2 hours straight until my signature looked like a stranger's handwriting. When it was done, Eleanor pressed the keys into my palm and said, "You're going to do wonderful things here." I owned Riverside Manor. And in 24 hours, Vanessa would find out. But what I didn't know was that she'd already discovered someone bought the venue, and she'd spent the last week trying to figure out who so she could make sure they understood exactly who the important client was. The closing happened Wednesday morning in a conference room that smelled like old carpet and coffee. I signed papers for 2 hours. Purchase agreement, mortgage documents, title transfer, insurance policies. My hand started cramping around the pen halfway through, but I didn't stop. Eleanor and Thomas sat across from me, watching each signature with quiet satisfaction. When the last document was signed, when the title company representative stamped everything final, Eleanor reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "You're going to do wonderful things here," she said. "We'll stay available during transition if you need us, but Riverside Manor is officially yours." The keys were heavier than I expected. Old brass, worn smooth from 40 years of use. I owned my sister's wedding venue. I called Patricia from my car in the parking lot. "Patricia, this is Morgan Foster, the new owner. I'd like to review all upcoming events, starting with June." Her relief came through the phone like a physical presence. Oh, thank God, new ownership. I was terrified we'd get bought by some corporate chain. "Let me pull up June. We have 4 weddings that month." "Tell me about June 15th. A pause. Then carefully, "That's the Foster Whitman wedding? The bride is particular." "Particular how?" She's changed the floor plan 3 times, requested we fire a staff member because he called her Ms. Vanessa instead of Miss Foster, sent me 17 emails this week about napkin folding techniques. Yesterday, she asked me to sign a document guaranteeing continuity of service standards regardless of ownership changes. I smiled despite myself. She's my sister. The silence on the line was profound. Patricia stopped, started again. Does she know you're the new owner? Not yet. When's her final walkthrough? Tomorrow, 2 p.m. She's bringing your mother and her maid of honor. Perfect. I'll be there to introduce myself. I arrived at Riverside Manor at 1:30 Thursday afternoon. The building looked different now that I owned it. Not just a venue I'd worked at once, but mine. Responsibility and possibility wrapped together in brick and gardens and that ballroom where everything had changed 3 years ago. Patricia met me at the main entrance. Mid-50s, gray hair pulled back in a neat bun, the kind of person who's seen every wedding disaster possible and stayed calm through all of them. She's going to lose her mind, Patricia said. Not a warning, an observation. I'm counting on it. We went over the contract together. Section 7, paragraph 3, the clause that allowed the venue to require full payment 30 days before the event. Section 9, the outside vendor fee for non-approved caterers. Standard contract language. Nothing unusual. Nothing Vanessa hadn't signed and agreed to 6 months ago. At exactly 2 p.m., a white Range Rover pulled into the circular driveway. Vanessa emerged first. White jeans, white silk blouse, heels that made her 3 inches taller than necessary. She carried a leather portfolio, the expensive kind with her initials embossed on the corner. Already practicing being the bride. Mom came next, looking uncertain in the way she always did when Vanessa was in full control mode. Then Brooke, the maid of honor, checking her phone. Patricia went out to greet them. I watched from the manager's office window. Vanessa took charge immediately, pointing out features of the garden to Mom like she discovered them personally, interrupting Patricia mid-sentence to issue instructions about where she wanted the chairs positioned. After 15 minutes of touring the grounds, Patricia led them inside. I was waiting in the center of the ballroom, standing beneath the antique chandelier, the same spot where I'd expedited plates 3 years ago, while Vanessa told strangers I was playing chef. They came through the double doors, Vanessa talking, gesturing with her free hand, explaining her vision for the space. She saw me and stopped mid-stride. Morgan! Confusion crossed her face. What are you doing here? Hello, Vanessa, Mom. I kept my voice pleasant. Normal. Welcome to Riverside Manor. I don't understand. She glanced at Patricia, then back to me. Are you catering someone's event today? Because we have a scheduled appointment. I'm not catering today. I own this venue. As of yesterday morning, I'm the new proprietor of Riverside Manor. The words hit like she'd walked into a wall. Her face went through stages. Confusion, disbelief, then dawning realization as she understood what this meant. Mom found her voice first. You bought this place? Morgan, this building costs $1.2 million. I purchased it for $950,000 with favorable terms. Eleanor and Thomas Hartwell wanted to sell to someone who understood what makes this venue special. You can't afford, Vanessa started. Everything Elegant generated $340,000 in profit last year. The year before that, $280,000. I've been building something real while you've been trying to tear it down. Vanessa's portfolio slipped from her hands, hit the marble floor with a sharp crack that echoed through the ballroom. I secured favorable financing because I have an excellent business track record and because the previous owners specifically wanted me to take over. Mom's breath came sharp and quick. Outside, the gardener's lawnmower hummed, normal Thursday afternoon sounds, while Vanessa's world tilted sideways. Fine, Vanessa recovered faster than I expected, corporate training kicking in. Fine, you own the venue. That doesn't change anything. We have a contract. June 15th is booked and paid for. You're absolutely right, I agreed. Your contract is with Riverside Manor, and Riverside Manor will honor that contract. Same date, same services, same terms. Her shoulders relaxed just slightly. However, I said, there's a clause in your contract, Section 7, Paragraph 3, that allows the venue to require full payment of the outstanding balance 30 days prior to the event. Patricia stepped forward with a copy of the contract, the relevant section highlighted in yellow. Your deposit was $5,000. Your total contract is $18,000. That means you owe $13,000, and given that we're now 28 days from your wedding, that balance is due immediately. You can't. I can. It's in the contract you signed. Most clients pay this closer to the event, but the venue has the right to require it earlier. I'm exercising that right. Payment is due by 5 p.m. Friday. That's 48 hours. This is harassment. Vanessa's voice rose. You're targeting me because you're jealous. I'm enforcing a standard contract clause. If you'd like to review the document with your attorney, Patricia can provide a copy. Mom stepped forward. Her hands were shaking. Morgan, this is your sister's wedding. This is family. When Vanessa asked me to cater her wedding for free, was that family? When she tried to force me to sell my business, was that family? When she spent months undermining my reputation with my clients, was that family? The accusations hung in the air between us. Mom's face showed she knew, probably always knew, had chosen not to see it. There's one more thing, I said, pulled out my tablet. Your contract specifies catering by approved vendors. As the new owner, I've reviewed and updated the approved vendor list. Everything Elegant is now the exclusive catering provider for Riverside Manor.
Vanessa's eyes went wide. You can't force me to use your catering. I'm not forcing anything. You're welcome to use any vendor on our approved list. Everything Elegant is currently the only company on that list, but I'm happy to add others. There's a 90-day approval process for new vendors to ensure quality standards. This is insane. Or you can bring in outside catering and pay the outside vendor fee, Section 9 of your contract. That's an additional $5,000. Brooke spoke for the first time. How much would your catering cost? I pulled up the quote I'd prepared. For 150 guests, similar menu to what you've been planning, $22,000. That's nearly double what we're paying. Vanessa's voice climbed toward hysteria. It's the premium rate for exclusive venue service. Your other option is to cancel. You're past the full refund deadline, so your $5,000 deposit is non-refundable. But canceling now would give you time to find another venue. I paused. Let her do the math. Stay at Riverside Manor. $13,000 venue balance plus $22,000 catering. $35,000 total. Use outside catering. $13,000 venue balance plus $5,000 outside vendor fee. $18,000 plus whatever her current caterer charged. Cancel. Lose $5,000 deposit. Scramble for a new venue in June when everything decent was already booked. Every option was expensive. Every option put her in my debt. Every option made her powerless. Vanessa looked like she wanted to tear the contract into pieces. Then her eyes landed on something in Patricia's portfolio, and her expression shifted. Calculating. Grasping. What about Eleanor Hartwell? She and I built a relationship during the planning process. I'm sure if I speak with her directly, she'll honor our original arrangement. Eleanor and Thomas retired to Arizona yesterday. They left me a lovely note wishing me success with the venue. I believe Eleanor specifically mentioned she was glad Riverside Manor would be in hands that value integrity over social climbing. The words landed exactly as intended. Vanessa knew Eleanor had seen through her, had always seen through her. You have 48 hours to pay the $13,000 venue balance.
After that, you need to decide, use Everything Elegance Catering, pay the outside vendor fee, or cancel and lose your deposit. Those are your options. You're doing this because you're vindictive. You can't stand that I'm successful, that I'm getting married to someone from a good family, that mom and dad are proud of me. I'm doing this because I'm a businesswoman enforcing contracts. The same kind of contract you'd enforce without a second thought if our positions were reversed. The same kind of bottom-line thinking you always praised when it benefited you. I picked up my tablet, turned toward the office. Patricia will be your point of contact for all wedding logistics going forward. Payment information is in your contract. If you need anything clarified, my business email is on the website. I walked away. Left Vanessa standing in the center of the ballroom, the same spot where 3 years ago she'd called my career a phase I'd grow out of. Behind me, I heard Mom's voice. Quiet. Shaking. "Vanessa, what did you do to her?" And Vanessa's response, brittle and defensive. "I didn't do anything. She's just bitter and jealous like she's always been." But the words sounded hollow now. Even to her. I made it to the venue office before my hands started shaking. Closed the door, leaned against it, tried to breathe normally. I'd done it. Told Vanessa I owned her venue, enforced the contract terms, watched her face drain of color when she realized she had no power here. It felt like winning. It also felt like something else, something that sat heavy in my chest. Patricia knocked softly. "You okay?" "Fine." That was intense. She earned it. She did, but she hesitated. I've been in this business 40 years, seen a lot of family drama play out in these walls, and the thing about revenge is it never feels quite like you think it will. What's that supposed to mean? Just make sure you can live with whatever happens next. She left quietly. I sat at the desk Eleanor used to use, looked at the framed photos on the wall. 40 years of weddings. Couples who'd started their lives together in this building. My phone buzzed. Text from Drew. "Vanessa just called me sobbing, said you ambushed her at the venue. What's going on?" Another buzz. Mom. "Morgan, please call me. Vanessa is devastated. Can we talk about this?" Another. "Dad, this is extremely unprofessional behavior. Call me immediately." I stared at the messages. For 3 years, I'd imagined this moment, Vanessa finally facing consequences, finally losing control, finally understanding what it felt like to be powerless. But I hadn't imagined my phone blowing up with people telling me I'd gone too far. Hadn't imagined sitting alone in an office, feeling like maybe I'd become the kind of person who uses power to hurt people. The same kind of person Vanessa was. I pushed the thought away. This wasn't the same. She'd spent months trying to destroy my business, tried to force me to sell to a competitor, asked me to work her wedding for free after everything she'd done. I was just enforcing standard contract terms. Business. Nothing personal. Except it was personal. Entirely personal. And sitting there alone, I couldn't tell anymore if that made it justice or just revenge. Vanessa paid the $13,000 at 4:20 Friday, 40 minutes before the deadline. But she didn't go quiet after that. Saturday morning, my business email inbox exploded. She'd posted a review on every platform she could find. Yelp, Google, Wedding Wire, The Knot. "Avoid this vendor. Owner has a personal vendetta and will hold your event hostage. Unprofessional, vindictive, and manipulative. She is using my wedding to settle family scores. Do not trust Everything Elegant Catering or Riverside Manor." 1 star. Posted from multiple accounts. Hers, Brooke's, what looked like fake profiles. My phone rang. 3 different clients, all asking if there was some kind of issue with my business. Patricia called. "Vanessa contacted every vendor for her wedding, told them you're unstable and they should have backup plans. The florist just called me asking if the wedding is even happening." Then the venue office line rang. Patricia answered, then transferred it to me with a grim expression. "It's Vanessa's attorney." The attorney's voice was smooth, professional, threatening. "Miss Foster, I represent Vanessa Foster Whitman. We believe you're engaging in harassment and potentially tortious interference with her contractual relationships. We're prepared to file an emergency injunction to prevent you from making further demands outside the scope of the original venue contract." My throat got tight. "I'm enforcing standard contract terms. You purchased this venue specifically to target my client. You've imposed financial demands that weren't communicated during the original booking. And you're now attempting to force her to use your catering company in what appears to be an anti-competitive arrangement. Everything I've done is spelled out in the contract she signed. We'll let a judge decide that. You'll be served with papers Monday morning, and Miss Foster Whitman is prepared to pursue damages for emotional distress, reputational harm, and any costs associated with relocating her wedding, if necessary." He hung up. I sat there staring at my phone. This was escalating beyond what I planned, beyond simple contract enforcement. Vanessa wasn't just paying and accepting defeat. She was fighting back with lawyers and public reviews and a campaign to destroy my reputation the same way she'd tried before. And maybe I'd given her the ammunition to do it. Margaret called an hour later. "I saw the reviews, and I'm guessing you heard from Vanessa's attorney." "Yeah. Here's the situation. Everything you've done is legally sound. The contract language is clear. You have the right to enforce payment timelines and maintain an approved vendor list. But what? But optics matter. And right now, this looks exactly like what it is. You buying your sister's wedding venue and using that leverage against her. A judge isn't going to like that, even if it's technically legal. So what do I do? You have two options. 1, dig in, fight the legal battle, probably win, but spend months in litigation while your reputation takes hits. 2, back off slightly. Approve her current caterer as a vendor, maybe extend the payment deadline a few days as a goodwill gesture. You want me to let her win. I want you to think about what winning actually means here. Do you want legal vindication, or do you want to run your business without spending the next year in court?" I didn't answer. I'm not telling you what to do, but sometimes the smartest move is knowing when you've made your point.
For 5 days after the payment deadline, Vanessa didn't contact me, but she was busy. Patricia called with updates. Vanessa had phoned the venue office 16 times, posted 1-star reviews on every platform, contacted every vendor for her wedding, warning me I was unstable. Then her attorney called, threatening an injunction. Margaret, my attorney, was blunt. "Everything you did is legal, but you need to decide, do you want to be right or do you want this over?" I thought about it for exactly 10 minutes. Then I called Patricia. "Approve Vanessa's original caterer as a venue vendor. No 90-day wait, no outside vendor fee." "You're letting her win?" I'm choosing which battle matters. I'd made my point. Vanessa knew I could have destroyed her wedding if I'd wanted to. Knew she had no power over me anymore. Knew I'd built something real while she was busy trying to tear me down. Making her pay an extra $5,000 for the satisfaction of watching her suffer? That wasn't justice. That was just cruelty. And I wasn't going to become her. 1 week before the wedding, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Morgan, it's Drew, Vanessa's fiancé." Voice careful, exhausted. "I need to talk to you. Not about the contract. About what actually happened between you and Vanessa. We met at a coffee shop in Selwood. Drew looked like he hadn't slept in days. She's been spiraling, crying for hours, raging, making desperate calls to other venues. I've heard 3 different versions of why you bought Riverside Manor, and none of them match." He looked at me directly. "So I need you to tell me the truth." I did. Told him about the partnership ambush, the calls to my landlord and clients.
The tearful apology that was theater while she plotted with Cascade. The years of dismissal and mockery. Pulled out my phone, showed him emails, texts, the paper trail. Drew didn't interrupt, just listened, face getting harder. When I finished, he sat there staring at his coffee. She told me you were jealous of her success, that you'd always been unstable, the family disappointment, that she'd tried to help you and you rejected her out of spite. Do I seem unstable? You seem like someone who built a successful business despite someone actively trying to destroy it. He rubbed his face. God, I'm marrying her in a week. I'm not telling you not to. I know. He stood up, left $20 for 2 coffees. But I need to think about whom I'm actually marrying. Drew called me 2 days later. I confronted her, showed her the emails you sent me, asked her to explain. What did she say? First, she denied it, said I doctored the screenshots, that I was believing your lies over her word. Then, when I pushed harder, she said I was taking everything out of context, that I was just trying to help you, and you twisted it into something malicious. And then I asked her about the Cascade acquisition, asked her to look me in the eye and tell me she didn't contact them behind your back to try to force you to sell your business. Silence on the line. She couldn't, Drew said quietly. She started crying, said I was supposed to be on her side, that I was choosing you over her, but she couldn't deny it. So what are you going to do? I don't know. He sounded broken. I love her. I've built a life with her. But I don't know if I can trust someone who'd do that to family and then lie about it for months. Drew, the wedding is in 5 days. Guests are flying in. Our families are already here. Even if I wanted to call it off, I don't know if I could. A long pause. But I need you to know that I see her now. Really see her. And I'm not sure I like what I'm seeing. He hung up. I sat there holding my phone, feeling something I hadn't expected. Not satisfaction, not vindication, just sadness. For Drew, for Vanessa, for all the ways this family was broken and might never be fixed. 3 months after the wedding, both businesses were thriving, but not everything was fixed. The venue was booked solid, everything elegant, expanding, industry recognition I'd never pursued but somehow earned. But Dad still wasn't speaking to me. Said I'd humiliated the family by enforcing those contract terms. Said a real daughter would have put family first.
Vanessa and Drew were still married, but Drew had moved into their guest room. Vanessa had posted nothing on social media since the wedding. No photos, no celebration, nothing. The silence was louder than any post could have been. And Vanessa's 1-star reviews were still up, still affecting my search rankings, still requiring me to explain to potential clients that, no, I'm not unstable, yes, that's my sister, it's complicated. Some damage doesn't just disappear when you win. Vanessa sent one email 6 weeks after the wedding. The wedding was beautiful. Your team was professional. I know that's not the same as an apology, but it's what I can manage right now. I stared at that email for 3 days before responding. I don't need your apology. I need you to stop telling people I'm unstable and remove those reviews. Then maybe we can talk. She never responded. The reviews stayed up. I don't measure my success by whether Vanessa acknowledges it anymore. Don't need my family's approval to know I've built something meaningful. But I'd be lying if I said everything worked out perfectly. That revenge felt as satisfying as I thought it would. That winning meant all the broken pieces got fixed. Some relationships don't heal. Some families stay fractured. And sometimes you have to live with the consequences of choosing yourself over keeping the peace. I'd do it again. All of it. But I won't pretend it didn't cost me something too. So here's my question, and I really want you to think about it. Was I justified in buying my sister's wedding venue, or did I cross a line? Some of you will say I was absolutely right.
that Vanessa spent years trying to destroy my business, that she earned every consequence. Others will say I went too far, that I used her wedding as a weapon, that no matter what she did, I shouldn't have made her biggest day about our conflict. But here's the deeper question. At what point does protecting yourself become punishing someone else? I didn't sabotage her wedding. It happened. It was beautiful. She got exactly what she paid for. But I also made her pay for it in ways that went beyond money, made her face powerlessness, made her wedding a reminder that she no longer controlled the narrative about my life. And 3 months later, I'm still living with the consequences. My dad won't speak to me. Vanessa's reviews are still damaging my business. Drew and Vanessa's marriage is barely holding together. Did I win? Yes. Was it worth it? I'm still figuring that out. So tell me in the comments, if you were in my position, would you have done the same thing? Would you have stopped sooner or gone further? And if you've dealt with a family member who undermined your success, how did you handle it? Do you regret your choice, or would you do it again? Be honest. I want to hear your real thoughts on family betrayal, justified revenge, and what it actually costs to fight back. Drop a comment, hit like if this resonated. Subscribe for more stories about what happens when underestimated people refuse to stay quiet. Thanks for listening.